Hey everyone, Gavin here with a new episode of Theme Park Ride Review. This is a new series that we are starting on this channel to start out with, and basically we will review attractions from all types of theme parks from all over, ranging from Disney and Universal to Cedar Point and Knott's Berry Farm. So let's start this series off with a bang, shall we? Today we're hopping on over to Orlando, Florida to Universal's Islands of Adventure to review the one and only Incredible Hulk roller coaster. Before we get started though, make sure to Hulk smash that like button and be sure to subscribe. So the Incredible Hulk coaster opened with Islands of Adventure in May of 1999. Designed by Werner Stengel and manufactured by Bollinger & Mallard, or B&M for short. The roller coaster is themed after Marvel's Hulk and opened to the public on May 28, 1999. It is the first B&M coaster to feature a launch design, which is primarily implemented by Universal Creative and MTS. MTS is a whole other topic to cover in a future video though, so we won't be diving much further into them in this one. The other true coaster to open with Islands of Adventure was Dueling Dragons, which were a pair of B&M inverts that dueled against each other until they got a re-themed Dragon Challenge to fit into the wizarding world of Harry Potter. The dragons were incredibly popular, but no longer stand today due to their age. They have been replaced by Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure. I still don't know why they named it something that long, but I digress. Hagrid's is probably my number one story coaster ever built, and up there for my favorite ride at Universal Orlando, although Velocicoaster might take that. Anyway, back to Hulk. In 2016, the ride was completely disassembled and rebuilt with all new track and a new story, and that will be the version I will review today. I will be ranking the Incredible Hulk in 4 different categories. The 4 categories are Immersion, Thrill, Re-rideability, and Uniqueness. These categories are pretty self-explanatory, but I'll explain each one pretty quickly. Immersion basically deals with the story being told and the overall theming in the ride and the queue. Thrill covers the overall intensity of the ride. Re-rideability can be summed up as the fun factor, but it also incorporates operations of the ride. Finally, Uniqueness is exactly what it says. Clones of attractions will score lower here, of course, so sorry Six Flags and all your Batman clones. Attractions can score anywhere from 1 to 10, with 1 being the lowest score that a ride can possibly get. Obviously, some of my personal bias will be present in this review, so pull down those restraints and let's get roaring. So to start out with Immersion, this ride has a couple things going for it, mainly the queue in the launch tunnel. When you walk onto this ride, you pass through this super immersive queue which totally immerses you in the story. The story of this ride involves General Thaddeus Ross, who is the Hulk's arch nemesis, and he's set up a science experiment with the goal of transforming you, the rider, into a Hulk. While passing through the queue, you see multiple TV monitors showing previous experiments on other guests transforming into Hulks, along with many other items and Easter eggs, such as the Gamma Core. After walking through the queue, guests arrive at General Ross's launching platform. After boarding, the train departs the platform and enters the launch tunnel, which is themed as a Gamma Tunnel. The train begins to ascend the launch tunnel, while a female voice recording announces, "Initiating Gamma Exposure. Hulk Transformation Accelerating. Do not be afraid." The Gamma Accelerator is then activated as a tire-propelled launch mechanism sends riders catapulting out of the launch tunnel. It is here where the ride loses a lot of that immersion, however, as you whip through a 0G roll and dive towards the ground. You might argue that it is hard to theme a coaster like this, but there are many examples of coasters that have thrill but don't sacrifice theming at all, such as Terran and Phantasialand and more recently Velocicoaster, which is located in the same exact park. Obviously Velocicoaster is a much newer attraction, so Universal Creative had a much larger budget to work with. However, the queue and launch tunnel definitely give this beast of a coaster some points in this category. For that reason, I'm giving it a 5 out of 10 in the Immersion category. Now for Thrill, this is the category where the ride truly shines. This coaster is technically an older style B&M coaster, so these models were known to be much more intense than the newer B&Ms. You feel your heart race as you enter the infamous launch tunnel. You are launched out of the tunnel at a nice 40 miles per hour in 2 seconds at an upward angle right into a snappy 0G roll, pulling 1G of force. This is one of my personal favorite coaster launches due to the whippiness of the roll out of the launch, making it nice and intense. You then dive down into a 105-foot drop. This is where the train reaches the max speed of 67 miles per hour as you swoop into an intense cobra roll over the lagoon, which pulls some very solid positive Gs. After this, the train enters a vertical loop, and instead of exiting this loop at a ground level though, you actually dive into a tunnel that is filled with mist, which is a really cool effect. Upon exiting the tunnel, the track encircles the station, sending the train to a corkscrew, diving into a subterranean tunnel. From here, you enter a second vertical loop, which actually wraps around the mid-course brake run and is flanked by 2 overbank turns. The train then goes into the mid-course brake run, slowing the train before descending another hill, and the train then enters into a second corkscrew and a turnaround. The train then tilts sideways during the final stretch of track, and you pass the on-ride camera, which snaps the on-ride photo that you can buy after you get off the ride. After one final helix as a lot of B&Ms end, the train enters the final brake run and station. With all of its snappy inversions and positive G's, this coaster is truly an intense coaster. Is it the most thrilling coaster currently at Universal? After riding Velocicoaster during an annual pass holder previews the other weekend, that might take the mantle for most thrilling coaster at Universal due to the lap bar restraints combined with ejector airtime. However, that does not prevent the Hulk from being a thrilling experience nonetheless. As a result, I'm giving the Hulk 10 out of 10 for thrill. So the Hulk, despite its intensity, is easily one of the most re-rideable coasters that I have been on lately. There are several factors that contribute to this. First off, the refurbishment that happened lately has smoothed the ride experience out without reducing thrills, which is just fantastic. Unlike another coaster on property, I'm looking at you, Rip Ride Rocket, the thrill isn't the roughness of the ride experience. This allows you to enjoy Hulk as many times as you want because you won't have a broken back or neck. Also, Hulk's operations are pretty good as well. On average, the Incredible Hulk cycles 1,920 people per hour, ranking above Rip Ride Rocket and Hagrid's but beneath the Revenge of the Mummy. Also, this coaster is very reliable, especially since it had a refurbishment lately. There is very little downtime during the day for it, especially in comparison to the problematic Rocket and Hagrid's coasters. With Rocket, if it's not 70 degrees and sunny with less than 5 mph winds, it's going to be closed. Due to the huge upsides and overall fun factor, Hulk gets a 9 out of 10 in this category for me. While the Incredible Hulk seems like a pretty common coaster, it is in fact a pretty unique offering. For a theme park in the United States, it is a rarity to have a coaster with this level of theming, story, and intensity, especially given its age. Also for a B&M, it has a pretty unique layout. Lots of B&M coasters have the same elements in a pretty similar layout. However, the Incredible Hulk throws in lots of elements in an uncommon layout. Because of this, the Incredible Hulk gets a solid 8 out of 10 for uniqueness for me. So overall, the Incredible Hulk is one of my favorite coasters in Florida. Is it my favorite? It is not, but it is up there. While it may not have the strongest theming throughout the actual ride, it blends all the categories together well, considering the coaster's age. If we add up all the numbers, the Incredible Hulk gets a 32 out of 40. This is a pretty solid score for the most thrilling coaster currently at Universal Orlando Resort, besides Velocicoaster, which technically hasn't opened yet. So in the future, we will be covering rides from all different types of parks, ranging from Disney and Universal to Knott's Berry Farm and Cedar Point. So thank you so much for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to tune into the next episode of Ride Review.